Are we in the right place?
We are live, guys.
Oh, okay.
You are live, it says.
We are live.
Good morning,
everybody.
There's this woman on that I watch occasionally on YouTube or something, and she always starts her videos out with "Good morning, my quilting friends," and I
Steal it. That sounds perfect. Good morning, our quilting friends.
Good morning, quilting friends.
I love it. And sewing friends and embroidery friends and just friends that want to watch and see what we're doing.
How about good morning, cut up and sew friends?
There it is. I love it.
Crew.
That's good. We need a hashtag, a good sign on and sign off.
That's right.
Send us your ideas for that.
We need to get this more professional.
Yeah, we're working on it. I tell you.
On
So first of all, before we go any further, let us know if the sound is okay. Joann and I talked for, I don't know, it felt like forever about breakfast last time, and nobody heard our awesome banter.
Yeah, which may have been good. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, it was good for us, but then all of a sudden, thank goodness, Cindy said, "Hey, we can't hear you, so just give us a thumbs up." I don't know if anybody's on. I'm gonna jump and find out here in 2 seconds. But all right, here we go. I'm gonna test to see if we can hear it.
Yep.
Hey, all right. Perfect. What do we want to talk about first? Okay, I want to talk about this first because I forgot to do it last time. And I think I actually have it mirrored, so you should be able to read this.
Are we getting good?
I'm telling you. There's a little box. It was perfect. So, all right. We have talked about this a handful of times. The Queen of Diamonds is the newest block of the month, EPP, from our favorite Tula Pink. Can you see that all right? Yep. Perfect. So we have, Tony and I just did the count. What did I say? 6
available, yeah.
Maybe 4. I might have done the math wrong. We're getting very low on kits that are available. So if you are interested in this, I highly recommend you call us or go to cutupandsew.com and register ASAP because we're going to sell out, and I'm really excited that we're going to sell out. Mm-hmm. That means we can get people excited about EPP and we can start, doing something new, which I'm excited. So
that's right.
I was nervous to begin because so many people hear EPP and they go, oh wow, because it's hand sewing, and so if you haven't tried it, people assume that it's either difficult or I'm sure tedious. I'm sure it's tedious, but
relaxing.
So have you, Tony? Tony is sitting here watching.
She's womaning the camera.
There she is. So Tony, have you tried doing any of the English paper piecing on machine?
Not this one, though.
So I know people have asked, can you do it on machine? And I haven't had the answer. I mean, I'm sure you could, but I think, and from what I've just been learning and trying to listen to, you won't get the same precision.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't.
And typically you stitch on top, so you're going to see your stitches too.
Oh, and you're going to see your stitches versus this nice, crisp, clean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've tried it on the machine. I have another project I'm working on that is English paper piecing, and I've done it all by hand. But I did try it initially on the machine, and it didn't have the same feel to it. I kind of like sitting there, and it's something I always do in the car. It's my travel.
Well, right, project. And you just nailed it on the head. And good morning, Georgia. I think what people are drawn to about not only the look of it, but is they can do it on the couch. They don't have to have their machine, so they it's a travel project. But I mean, just the end result is so cool looking. So I'm excited. Only a few kits remain from us, so sign up, Cut Up and Sew. If you have questions on it, feel free to call. We're literally going to send you, or you can come pick up if you're local, a kit that has everything. So you're not going to have to get templates and go searching for pieces. And I mean, we're going to make it as easy as humanly possible for you. So,
and this is going to be gorgeous. This is also going to be a Saturday, once a month get together, share.
It'll be after the Tula Club on Saturday.
Yeah. So
except for May.
The first Saturday of every month, except for in May, we have a Tula Pink Club. And so after our normal club meeting, Tony was going to we're going to do a demonstration, right?
For this month.
For each block of, right. So that if you're local, we'd love for you to come and join us. A lot of people who are not local are still getting the kits and we're shipping it to them. So we're going to figure out a way, now that we're so good at technology, to do it virtually, or at least record it, a demonstration so people could see it. So
now I want to just add my extra little thing here. I am working on an English paper piecing, which is different than this one. And it's still in process, will be in process for a while. And I've told my children that if I don't finish it by the time I die, they're to take the blocks and frame them and give them to people. So the nice thing is that this really is a finished block. So let's say you only get 2 or 3 of them done, you can frame it and give it as Christmas presents.
You've got so much time. What are you talking about? Good morning, Barbara Ann. Good morning, Dee. All right. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm excited about that. And I'm going to hand that to you. Speaking of Tula, and I know you weren't prepared to jump on camera, but I think you might do it a little, or do you want me to try to
No, I can do it.
Well, our Tula Club is currently working. You just come in here.
Now we're out.
I'm going to butcher it, so hold on. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. It's Tony. I am the hostess for the Tula Club, and I'll be hosting the
Queen of Diamonds.
Queen of Diamonds as well. So right now, the Tula Club, we are working through this book. We just got some more in the store. So if you've been waiting, we got yours here.
Yours is in.
And it is. And our Tula Club meets the first Saturday of the month, but May we have a little conflict, so we're gonna meet the second Saturday of the month. We are doing it virtually. We hosted a Zoom last month, which was pretty exciting. We have Jody from Maryland come and join us.
That's
so
right.
You totally can join. And it is a free club. And we're working through this book right now. I think we're, for the month of May, we have to have up to 35 blocks done. So it's just more of encouraging. We talk about Tula's new lines coming.
Oh, don't worry. I've got notes to talk about that.
So I can't talk about that. He'll let him talk about it. But it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We just hang out. And what's really cool about the Tula Club, everyone's becoming friends. They've started swapping emails and they're talking outside the shop. It's really kind of fun.
That's why I love a club. Period. Like the club mentality is like,
right.
Okay, we're growing together. We're feeding off each other, inspiration, and just making friends.
Yeah.
It's such a relaxed atmosphere that I absolutely love it. And this is cool because, well, modern quilt blocks, the blocks are really cool. I love modern stuff. So,
and they're really easy.
I was going to say the difficulty level is way down there. So people can knock this out and the end result is awesome.
Yeah. But you're welcome.
Awesome. So we do have these in stock, and if you already ordered one, we got yours too. So sign up for Tula Club. It's a ton of fun. What do you want to talk about next?
You have a whole bunch of stuff here.
A whole bunch of stuff over here. Let's see. I saw Marcia said good morning, so I'm going to say good morning back to you, Marcia. So behind us, this does not do it justice. We actually have one quilted and finished and hanging up in the store. It's a different pattern. But when we went to the Lakeland show, we met some really cool people and they had an amazing booth, legit kits. And I just kind of fell in love with the whole concept. And this is one of the patterns that we have in stock. The colors. I mean, what else can you say? It's absolutely gorgeous. So this is foundation paper piecing, which you do use a sewing machine for. I'm learning. And it's a serious pattern. Don't get me wrong. This is not a quick project, but I mean, the way that they've broken it down, we opened one up and looked at it. It's really cool. And it's almost like, in my mind, like a paint by number, but like a quilt by number. Color by number. So, and there's a lot of little colors. Now, in my mind, I immediately go, well, I could leave a couple of these out. You know what I mean? I'm already finding ways to go and cheat the system. But I just thought it was such a cool pattern. And they have, so this is the Sail Away. Let's see, I should look at my phone so I can see if it's delayed though. Tony, let me know if I'm holding it up if they can't see it. So this is legit flamingos. How fun is that? And this one was honestly the showstopper, which I thought was awesome. The Michael, okay, you can hold that. So there is a front and a back of David, and it is so cool. We have the actual pattern of the back side. I didn't hang it up because we're going to get these quilted. They just look so much cooler when they're finished. and it's really fun. This one was cool because they put little Velcro down here, and what they say they were using like a little Santa hat and a mistletoe, and they were getting very creative with it. But these are really cool patterns, and I'm excited because I have not seen them in any other shops. In fact, the first time I had ever seen it was at the quilt show. So this was new to me, and I got excited.
So this, what we're looking at here looks like a panel, but in this, each one of these is a separate piece. It's all pieced together.
So this is a cheater, basically top, so that we didn't have to make a sample of all three of the samples that we got, because it does take some time. It's a lot of work. But so it's technically not a panel. It looks like a panel, but just because it's for display purposes.
Yeah. So obviously you can do your own thing with it. You can change it.
You choose the color. Yeah, and we don't have kits. In other words, there's no fabric included. It's just the pattern, because we want you to choose whatever colors you like. Your color is going to be different than mine, you know.
Yeah.
So it's neat, and it's very thorough in the instructions. It looks like it's very easy to follow along. It's just there's a lot of pieces, right? So
it's really cool.
All right, cool.
And those, I look at them at the shows where they've taken, instead of just putting a big piece of fabric that looks like sky in the background, they've taken diamonds or squares or whatever and made the background with that. And this will have that same sort of effect, and it really is a beautiful effect.
Yeah, and forgive me if you guys see this. I forget the owner's name of Legit Kits, but he designs these. These are all original designs, and I love the geometric breakdown with the colors.
Yeah,
it is cool.
That'll be pretty
dramatic. I agree, Georgia. It is awesome, and it does look awesome. It's even cooler in person. There's a really cool skull one that actually we did and we quilted, and it's hanging up in the shop. And I forgot, I should have not hung it, but maybe I'll show that next week. So
is the one that's here, is that a real one, or is that?
It's just like this.
Okay. Oh.
We only have so much time, Joann. We got a lot going on here.
I know you're not retired.
Right, true. No, quite the opposite. All right, so excited about Legit Kits. Again, call us if you have any questions. I think we're going to jump into your thing, and then I'll do some classes towards the end.
Okay.
How's that? But before we do that, we're supposed to be doing a notion of the week, aren't we? So Maria found these adorable little tins. Okay. And people just love tins. They're like, I don't even care what's inside it.
Look at the little birdie on it.
Well, here's the cool part. They're the magic clips that everybody loves and wants. Usually you get like this little teeny pack for however much money, and there's not a lot of bang for the buck. You know what I mean? I think there's 100 in here, and it's like $18, and you get the tin. The tin
and the little.
Yeah, and they're the good size. Well, some people like those really teeny ones, but I think this is the most common.
Yeah, it is.
So we just got these in, and we're calling this the notion of the week. How awesome is that? So I'll probably find a way. Good morning, Deanna. To throw a discount or something fun your way. We haven't given something away in a few lives, so
that's really cool.
That's what I chose. Not only is it an adorable tin, but it actually has some good stuff in the inside.
So is this a Riley Blake thing? You know, that's all I need is one cute idea that, you know, Riley Blake comes up with all these really cute things, and she's making $1 million, I'm sure.
I know. Well, truthfully, for $18, you know what's going to happen. They're just going to open this up, take the pens out, and be like, "Cool, I'm going to use this for pencils or whatever, you know, scissors."
I think it makes a cute little tin.
It is, and it is an adorable little tin. But I like that it had a ton of clips, and you actually can get a large amount of clips. Thank you for a smaller price.
Yeah, bang for your buck.
So good find, Maria. I love it. It is our notion of the week.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Cool. All right. Let's jump into some quilting tips.
Okay, so last week I started talking about borders, and I'm continuing on that today. And I have a couple of things that I was going to add to that. So when you're thinking about your borders, you want to, you know, you finished your quilt, the main portion of your quilt, you just want to make it a little bit bigger, or you want to get it all squared up or whatever, and you're going to put borders on. But you need to think about borders as another design feature in your quilt, and what does it do to your quilt, and how does it affect it, and how do the borders look? So one thing I always do, I think now, I started doing this several years ago and decided I really liked it, and it really added something for my borders. But one thing I almost always do with my borders is, but when I finish the main portion of the quilt, I put a small border around that usually blends with the background color. And the reason for that is if you put, let's say I just decided to go directly to the red, if I put the red here, then there's this thing that I call color bonding. And so the red of the border bleeds into or bonds with the red in the block itself, and it makes another design that you may not like. And so in order to float the rest of the quilt up so that you actually see it, and to provide a little bit of distance between this and your borders, then I put this little border, and it's I think it's called a stop border, because it stops your eye from here. And if you do just a background, then you don't really notice it. It becomes, it just really isn't a noticeable thing. And it's just small, just big enough to be able to separate the two.
It's cool. It totally frames the art, you know what I mean? Like the design.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
So in this case, where the borders were pretty simple, it allowed the design to really shine. Another way that I do that is, for example, in this quilt, and I have to apologize because so many of my quilts were made when I was working at a shop that did mainly reproductions and things like that. So I have a lot of reproduction fabric.
There's no need to apologize. There's a lot of people that like reproduction fabric.
So
I'm not necessarily one of them, but that's all right. I can appreciate it.
So this was a scrap quilt where, the design was here. There, you don't really look at it and see a design. What you look at and you see is a bunch of color. And it has a piano key border going around the outside. And if I had put the piano key right next to this, the piano key border would have been lost. You would not see it, and it would become a very muddled design along the edge here. So I took a piece of fabric that had all the colors that were in here, but was going to provide something that stopped your eye from here and allowed you to see this as its own design feature. And so that's the little stop border there.
This quilt is heavy.
Yes, it is.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's a nice heavy quilt. It's really nice.
This is one that I could see like actually cuddling up with.
Yeah, if you run air conditioning in your house in the summertime, this is like the perfect quilt. So that's and this border here was a piano key border. And a piano key border is pretty easy to make. You can do it one of a couple of different ways. You can just take make a strip set of some of the fabrics that you have in your quilt, cut it up, put it along the edge of your fabric, and you can make it any size you want. You can, however big you want it, you can do that. And you can make it little tiny like this, or you can make it longer. Anything that adds a little bit of design interest in your border is fine. Or if you have a bunch of little pieces left over after you finished making your quilt, you just take them. See, I do have bright colors in mine. You can just take them and sew them together and figure out how wide you want the border and sew it on. And so one way to get rid of all those little extra scraps that you have at the end of a quilt. So
that's called piano key?
Piano keys, yes. And it can be either, you can make it any width, you can make it any length. The key on how wide you make a border is, once again, you don't want your border to be any wider than any given block in your quilt. But
is that because, I'm sorry to cut you off, I'm quizzing myself, because you don't want to take away from the actual
that's right.
block?
Exactly. If you make your border wider than your block, then your border becomes the quilt essentially, and you lose the effect of the quilt itself.
I'm giving myself a good star.
Good job.
I remembered that. See, I'm learning.
So today, what I wanted to show was Seminole piecing and how to make a Seminole pieced border. Now, Seminole piecing is attributed to the Seminole Indians, and it was Seminole patchwork. And the idea is that you take a variety of different size strips, you sew them together, and then you cut them up and sew them back together again, and you get different effects. So, like the border that we're going to look at today is this one here.
Good morning, Heather. Good morning, Dana. Good morning, Shan. How was drop off for Casper?
So this is a Seminole piece border. So what I did was I took a 2.5 inch strip, and because the quilt is kind of scrappy to begin with, I took different fabrics here. I took a 2.5 inch for the center where the whites are, and then on the outside I did a 3.5 inch strip, so it was an inch larger, so it gave it a little bit of a continuing border around it, so it separated these from the border itself. And so you sew those together. Yeah, you can put that.
Did you guys see that all right?
Yeah.
I think it shows.
So you sew that strip together. So what I did was because I didn't have a whole lot of distance to go, I did a width of fabric strip of each one of these. I cut them in half and then sewed them together. So you sew them together like this, 3.5, 2.5, 3.5, and then you cut them. You cut the strips the width of whatever the centerpiece was. When you go to sew them together, you offset them. And the thing that you always want to remember, and I call this nest peak pin, because you really want to make sure you do two things. When you press it, you want to make sure you pressed it in such a way that your edges are nice and crisp, that you don't have any fabric kind of going over the edge of the next piece. You want it nice and crisp seam right there. And then you're going to offset to the next one. So when I say nest, peak, and pin, what you're trying to achieve here is you're trying to make sure that your seams come together just perfectly. And you've probably all know about nesting. It's a pretty common thing that you do. But what you want to make sure that you do when you nest is that what can happen, and when you end up with a piece that isn't coming together correctly, and you think, oh, I nested it, why didn't it come together? What happens is you can put it together like this, and you can feel like it's nesting right there, which is what everybody tells you to do. But what can happen is if maybe the fabric's a little off or whatever, when you peel it back, you need to peel it back and look at it and make sure that at 1/4 of an inch back, it's still nested. Because if you don't, it can be off a little bit. And that way, and by peeking to make sure that it matches, then you know that your seams are going to come together. And then I always pin, if I want a seam to nest perfectly and come together, I'll put a pin right on the front of it, where when you feed it into the sewing machine, that pin, you'll come to that pin before you come to the seam. So that helps to keep the seam in place. And if you don't, that's especially important if you don't have the feature on your sewing machine that gives you an integrated feeding system where the top and bottom feed at the same time. So it's kind of important to pin that. When you sew these together, you can press all your seams going in the same direction, and then they will all come together with the seams able to nest them. So you sew them together in a row. We'll take these off.
I like how you wear flannel. It's like a portable design.
I was just thinking the same.
It's like
it's by design.
And the color's good, so you can see the.
Yeah, I can hold this up for you too.
So
makes your life easier.
Once you've put all your seams together, then you want to take just a little strip of fabric, and I know I have one here.
Tony, is that good? Can they see all right?
Yeah.
All right.
I wish I could zoom in there.
Well, maybe I don't.
You just have to kind of reach around. Yeah. Good morning, Martha. Good morning, Rosalind.
So you just take another piece of fabric and you center it on here. And just like in this case, I would put a piece of brown fabric here, just center it there. So you have a piece that you have an ending point there. Then to trim it, you can trim one of two ways. My favorite way is to decide on a distance. Like for these, they were all at 1 inch, and you put your 1 inch line right at the peak of your squares, your center squares, and you just trim right along the top. You can do it in such a way where you decide on the size and you put the line going right through the center. For me personally, it doesn't work, but that works for a lot of other people, so whatever. And so once you've done that, you sew, and then you take another piece of fabric, and I have this one here.
So you have to reach so far.
So here's one that's almost ready for the last border on that little quilt. You sew another, you trim this all off, you sew a piece on the end here. Then when you go to put it on your quilt, you do exactly the same as you would any border. You find the center of this, the center of your quilt, you lay it through the center of your quilt, trim off the sides, and then pin it along the edge that you're going to sew it onto, and you're done. And then you have a nice little quilt. So at 3.5, 2.5, and 3.5, this made almost a 5-inch border.
Hold that up in case for those that just jumped on. End result. Am I holding up the right? Yeah.
Yeah.
End result. And voila.
And voila. That's right. And you could put something, I chose to just make this a continuous border around here, but you could always put something in the corner here, do something different if you wanted to. But I just wanted a solid brown all the way around. So that's Seminole piecing. So in my class last week, we actually did a little bit more with Seminole piecing, and so that you can see that other things build on this. So this is kind of like an introduction to Seminole piecing. So you get an idea of how it works, and it makes a nice border on quilts. So the class did pretty much the same as this one here, except for we did 3 colors in the center instead of just one. So the 2 on the outside were the same. The one on the inside was different. It makes this cute little border like this, so it's a little bit bigger. We also did one that was diamonds. And so all of this is just how you cut it. So with this one here, this was the strip set that we started with. And then we cut it into these pieces here were 1 1/4, I think. So we cut it into 1 1/4 inch strips, offset it, sewed it together, ended up with this. With this one was a little different in that in order to make the diamonds, you lay your strip out, and instead of cutting straight, you find your 60-degree line on your ruler, put your 60-degree line right along the edge, and then you cut an angle. And then once you've cut your angle, you do the 1 1/2 all the way across, and you end up with diamonds. So those are just 2 different things that you can do with a Seminole piecing. Seminole piecing has...
That's this one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Seminole piecing has a gazillion different ways you can do them. You can do, I have one strip that was, I did several strips of fabric, and they were graduated colors. So maybe it would be dark green, medium green, light green, lighter green, and then a border on the outside. And that made sort of an ombre effect.
I love that effect. Yeah, that's cool.
So that made kind of a cool thing.
Just depending on the angle that you're cutting,
Mm-hmm.
is going to change the effect. Well, then obviously your color choices.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So Seminole piecing makes a fun border. This might make a cute little, like if you're making an apron or some little shirt or something, this makes a little cute little addition to whatever you're making.
Cool.
That's
Any
it.
questions? You guys can all do that now, right?
I want to point out one thing.
Yeah.
Show them your miter stripe corners.
Oh,
They are perfect. So can you talk about that next time?
She actually mentioned that last time because she did it by hand, right?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I really
Good morning,
cheat
Mary,
with
by the way.
I really cheat with the mitered corners because
There's no cheating, by the way.
if you look at it if you look it up online and how to do mitered corners, they show you how to do it by machine. And what I find is the only time I ever do a mitered corner is if I have stripes like this that I want to line up, or a pattern I want to line up. So I end up doing a lot of it like they say in the instructions. But what I end up doing is I do this by hand so that I can get those stripes absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it would drive me crazy if they weren't perfect. So I get that.
Yes,
I do.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna make it,
But it is such a cool effect.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
But yeah, I think last time you just didn't have the borders on,
no.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
This will grow.
It's growing with you.
That's
You get to see it in
You
real
get to see it.
time.
So,
I love it.
so this little mess here, this is really an indication of what my sewing room looks like.
Well, so if you, and honestly, and I'm going to jump into some of the classes before we get off, but this is the perfect type of thing to come to Friday Quilting Studio, I think is what we call it, with Joann for the next 2 Fridays. Because you can work on borders, bring in something that where you're maybe struggling or have questions on a border, and I'm volunteering you here, but Joann is literally here to just help you.
Yeah.
And some of this stuff is easier to do in person when you can,
you can really see it coming
Yeah.
together. It's difficult, I can give you an idea of what it's like, but when you're actually here and working on it,
it makes it easier.
And I tell you, the class that I taught this to had such a lot of fun. They were like, the week before, they thought, oh, what are we going to do with that? Why do we need that? What's that all about? Who cares? And when they actually did it, they had such a good time doing it. And they're thinking, oh, I could do this with it, or I could do that.
So don't doubt Joann. That's the takeaway.
We used to have a class that used to say WWJD. What would Joann do?
That's good.
That's great. You pinned.
Awesome.
So is that Mary that signed on?
It's a Mary.
Hey, Mary.
I don't know which Mary you're referring to.
I don't know if this is the same Mary, but Mary, there is a Mary I met in the shop last week, and I was talking to her, and she said she quilts all of her quilts by hand. I was so impressed. I quilted by hand my first 3 quilts, and that was it.
I still need it. I mean, there's probably, I would say realistically, not a month that goes by that at least one person comes in and says, oh, no, I still only do hand quilting. And that's when I make the joke, that's what sewing machines are for.
That's right. That's right. And we have some here.
Yeah. But, I have so much respect for hand sewing. I do. It's just when I came into this world, this industry, it was to sell sewing machines. And so my whole journey has been, what can we do with the sewing machines? And it just, again, I'm going to try this EPP with the Queen of Diamonds, mainly just because I love the look of it. I just don't know if this is something I'm going to enjoy. And you even chimed in, it's relaxing, soothing. So I get it. I just don't know if I'm going to like it.
Yeah,
we're going to try though.
It takes time. I think that's the only downside of English paper piecing. Although I watched a woman when I started the quilt that I have been making for a couple of years now. When I started that one, I was starting with another woman who since has made 4 just like it. Okay.
That's
Not a race.
It's not a race, but good for you. You're winning. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you as usual, Joann. That's awesome. We got a bunch of classes that I'm excited about. Tony and I have really been trying to put our heads together and get creative and just come up with new ideas that brings people into the store. So, because I love a buzz of a classroom, like when people walk in, when people are over here yapping and having fun, people want to be a part of that. It's infectious. So sign up for some classes if you haven't yet. We've got a ton of clubs. I've got my notes here. Tomorrow is our Bag Lady Club. And it is just that. They talk about all things bags. A lot of times people ask me, what do they do in the clubs? What do they sew? What are they learning? It changes based on what the club members want. So it's a hard question to answer, if that makes sense. So my answer is always, well, we'll learn whatever you'd like, or we'll talk about whatever you'd like, but you have to come and be a part of the club in order to give your idea, because that's how it works. That's how it works. Well, right. So we, the Bag Lady Clubs, Christy and Cindy, they're all over the place with bags. Like we've had a lot of Bianni classes here. So we love Bianni, but I know Cindy and some of the other ladies, talk about Emmeline patterns, and we just got a bunch of new Sally Tomato cork and patterns and hardware and all sorts. So I'm really trying to grow the bag section, I guess, for lack of a better term. It's not, we're not going away from Bianni, so don't worry, but we're just adding to it because there are so many people that want different types of patterns because they've done all of the Bianni patterns already. So, and
Christy makes those bags look so easy. I have no desire to make a bag, and what really turns me off is that binding that goes around the outside. I just think, no, I don't want to do that. But when she showed me how to do it, and she said, oh, you just do. I felt such confidence just listening to her. I thought maybe I could do that. She's a really good teacher. Yes. Yeah, totally. A lot of those Bianni, well, I guess probably all bags, the travel bag's really big. And so it's not just let me whip it out, but really you're just
making all the sections and then assembling it.
Mhm.
Like, it's really cool to see the process.
Mhm.
Because if I look at it, I'm like, there's no chance. Too many zippers and
Yeah,
hidden
there's too much
pockets
stuff.
and mesh and oh boy.
Mhm.
But like when you actually follow the steps, it's pretty easy.
Mhm.
I don't know, easy. Yeah,
And
it's easy.
and it's really fun to have somebody who can kind of give you the confidence to work through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is tomorrow, and it's I should know this. What is tomorrow? The third week of the month.
Yes.
Okay, so the third Tuesday of every month. We got so many clubs, I can't remember which days, but they repeat, and so that's the beauty. And it is a free club. We want you to come and just give us your input and have some fun with us. There are a lot of bag makers down here, which is really cool. Solaris Club. I might even change the name of this because I think people are getting a little bit confused with all the clubs. This is a hands-on class that is going to teach you all the way from the beginning, the basics of how to navigate and all the features in your Solaris or your Brother Luminaire, all the way up to high level, like, what's it called? IQ design. So it's a very involved class, but we're going to baby steps because there's a lot of new owners that if they jump right into IQ design, they're going to miss a lot of the features and some of the basic functions that these machines have because there's so many, to be honest with you. So that's the 19th, which is like in 2 days. I'm excited for that. And it will be repeating every single month, but we're going to just kind of keep leveling up as far as the, I guess, the skill set goes. We're going to start with the easy stuff and then get in. It's all actually easy because that machine makes things so simple, but it'll be more involved and definitely get into more, I don't want to use the word digitizing, but the IQ designer and embroidery and stuff. So for the 19th, if you want to come and join us, you only bring the sewing portion of your Solaris, which is still very heavy. So just call us when you're here and I'll come to your car and get it for you. It weighs a ton, but it's awesome. Step over a foot. Can you hear me now? I'm like hiding off camera.
It's the icon.
Okay. Well, that's all right. The Cut Up and Sew logo is more important anyway, so they don't need to see my face. Okay, so Quilting Studio with Joann, we already kind of talked about. That's the next 2 Fridays. And then in May, sign up because, well, it's not on the calendar yet.
It is.
It is for the May class? Well, then sign up now.
Sign up now.
I'm sorry. And you want to tell them what the class is?
We're doing, the next class is going to be based on a swoon block. When you can look that up on Pinterest or the internet or whatever. It's basic swoon block. When it was originally designed, it was designed as 24-inch blocks, 9 of them. And so it's great big blocks. And you can do that if you look at that and say, that's what I want to do.
It's cool
looking. You can do that. The interesting thing about this particular block is that depending upon how you put your fabrics together, each one will look completely different. The particular pattern that we're going to use actually incorporates a 24-inch block, the same block except for 16 inches, the same block except for 8 inches, and then a standard Ohio star. And so that will be the quilt. You can make whatever size you want. You can make all of them. However you want to put that together, you can.
And that starts in May, the first Friday in May. Is that right? So. Yeah. And then, and that's usually how her classes go. It just so happens that this month they took the month off from making a start to finish quilt. And that's why we have that quilting studio, because we want you to come fall in love with Joann. I've said it before. And then you're going to want to take the swoon class for sure. The swoon class, is that right? Swooning.
Yeah, swooning. The other thing that will be incorporated in that class at the end of the month is we will be, or somewhere in the month, we'll be doing a Christmas row quilt.
Oh, yeah.
And so each month we'll do, I'll give out a pattern for the row for that month. So we'll do one in class and then you do the rest of them at home over the month.
Super cute too.
And that will also be incorporated into a mystery quilt on a Saturday sometime that starts in June.
Mystery.
Oh,
it's Christmas. I made the wrong sound.
So anyway, and with the mystery quilt, we'll actually show a week before the class. We'll show the row for that week so that you can see what you need for colors and fabrics and things like that. So it'll be sort of a semi mystery.
Yeah, and good morning, Patricia. Good morning, Jennifer. Irene, good morning, and we were just talking about the Solaris Class Club. So I'm excited. I think people are excited. So we'll see you Wednesday, which is awesome. Irene Knight, who just jumped on, is going to be the educator, and I'm excited. Okay, we've been on a long time, so I'm going to rapid fire through these. Happy hour tips after Joann's class on Friday. Tony is going to do a demonstration. It's more quilting tips, sewing tips, right? And I think we were talking about binding.
Yeah.
Is that fair to kind of put that out there?
Yeah, I agree.
So far, and I kind of said this when I went rogue and went live the other day, we can't figure out why people aren't jumping on this, because it's free. I've said free a bunch, but it is, because we just want you to come and get some tips and get some ideas, get inspired. And it's hard to do that like this. So much easier in person with one of these ladies. So that's every Friday from 4 to 5. And it's happy hour tipsies. Get it? Come on. It's very cute. I like the name. So if you have, and I even put this out there, Tony, I don't know if you saw it, but I was like, if for some reason you love the idea, but Fridays are just not working and it's unanimous, let us know what would be better. Because there's got to be a reason we're not getting more signups for that. So let us know, because I think it's an awesome idea. Okay, and then Java with Josh, which is Saturday. Yep, the 22nd. We're going to come in and hang out and drink coffee and have donuts and talk about all the fun stuff that's going on in the class or in the shop. But also, it's a show and tell, and I love doing Java with Josh. It's been a while since we've done it, because I get to literally ask you, what are we missing in the shop? What do you want? What are we doing right? What do you like? I get a lot of feedback, and it's really cool, and I love it. Also, I love to see what you guys are working on. So show and tell, those are always fun. Mm-hmm. So that is also free. Lots of free stuff. You see what we're doing? Trying to get you in the shop here, right? Mm-hmm. So people like free, right? Well, now you can take advantage of it. Embroidery Club starts April 26th. The Hump Day Hoopers. So you can guess what day that is.
I'm guessing Wednesday.
That's right. It will be every month, and that is, I'm guessing, the last Wednesday, fourth Wednesday of every month. But the first one is on the 26th at 10:30. Now, Embroidery Club is everything that's embroidery. I've got all sorts of ideas that I want to kind of put into this, because I love embroidery. But again, we don't know exactly the direction until the first meeting and find out what you guys want to do. The world of embroidery is so vast.
So the first one there, do you bring your machines?
No. So most of the club meetings, you do not bring your machine. Okay. Now, we will start having a actual club sewing day, which you'll have to sign up for, but you'll know in advance. The whole point of these is to share, get inspired, learn tips and tricks, and get new designs if that's the direction you guys want to go. Each club has kind of formed its own direction, because again, that's the point. That you guys choose. So that's the first one, and I want to see a bunch of people. I know people that love embroidery, but I know people that have embroidery machines that are terrified or that don't use it because they don't know what to do. Well, this is where you come and find out and get inspired. Make sense? Mm-hmm. And I didn't bring the paint. Pretend there's a really pretty picture of a sewing machine here that you could paint yourself. Isn't it pretty?
Do you want to know where to get it?
Yeah, why don't you, actually? So we're excited, and people are already signing up for this. I thought I knew how it was going to go, but I wasn't sure about the immediate response. And so on April the 27th at 5:30 p.m., for those of you that work, you can come join us. Oh, there we go. And we held this up, I think, last time. And it will be, I can't remember the actual dimensions, but
12 by 16.
12 by 16. Thank you, Tony. And the whole point of this is just to have fun, get together, socialize, and do something that maybe you haven't done before, and paint. And we thought it was very fitting. Craftsy Carla, I've just followed her, and I had the pleasure of meeting her. What a cool personality. Like, yes, you're gonna have fun with her. I can tell. I'm gonna have fun because I'm coming to this too. I thought it's very fitting that we're doing a sewing machine for the first one. So that is the 27th at 5:30 p.m. So even if you work, no excuse. You can come hang out with us. That's all I got for classes. Well, there's a lot more classes, but again, I'll talk more next week. But for this month, a lot of clubs, as you can tell, a lot of tips and tricks. We're trying to get you guys in here and get you pumped up about trying some new stuff and just hanging out with us, I think. Okay, Solaris sale. I've mentioned it a bazillion times, but do not forget, I've got one left currently. So if you're interested, I know people were asking, call me immediately. Furniture sale. Arrow's got a big furniture sale going on. It ends this month, and it's Serger month. People don't talk about National Serger Month enough, but it's Serger month, so all sorts of serging stuff on sale. Come in and see us. I don't like to make this sales pitchy, so I'm just going to mention it, and that's it. And I'm done. That's it.
Awesome.
Are we done?
Ton
You're
of
done?
stuff. I'm done.
All right. I think we ran 45 minutes. That's good. All right. Did I miss anybody? I think I said hello to everybody. Not too many questions this morning, so don't hesitate. If you guys comment on this stuff, ask questions, we'll see it afterwards. We don't have to, we'll answer any of your questions you have. Thank you. And it could be later on this afternoon, so don't hesitate to reach out or just even comment on the feed after the fact. Joann just pointed out new Tula. Got it like signed and squared, and you even mentioned it earlier. Know about that.
That's why I thought, oh, you didn't do that.
Tula Pink, the new line is coming. We're crossing our fingers that FedEx literally going to pull up like any second now. So as soon as it gets here, we're going to do an unboxing video, but we are
fun.
pumped. I know. I want Casper to do one. I loved doing an unboxing with him. He's at the age now, unless it's like a Batman, he just doesn't care. And Tula, I was like, he's going to love Tula. He's like, meh. But we'll do an unboxing video and get pumped about it. I'm so excited. We got the whole collection. So that's probably in the system. If you'd like to pre-order something, feel free to call. We can figure it out, but you should just come in. And we'll, as soon as it's here, I'll go live, or we'll let you know ASAP. But it should be here today. I don't want to jinx it. Not going. But okay, thank you for reminding me. Now I'm done.
Okay.
All right, you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much. We'll see you later. See you come to Joann's thing on Friday, and Java with Josh this weekend. Later.
Okay. Have a great week.
We're done.